his testosterone. Boy, that is like banging trees and hitting cars. He doesn't care about anything. It's just pure aggression. It's like, wow, get out of this guy's way. No, he's not, you stay clear. And he's telling all the others, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
I'm a force to be reckoned with. Anyway, I'm glad that the men don't have that much testosterone.
Yeah, me too.
But it's something that can help you see it in reality, the effect of testosterone. And so I think you're very observant and knowledgeable about biology, because as you said, men and women are different and they have different needs. Another thing is, I don't think the woman would be happy if no men paid any attention to them. In other words, right? What do you think?
I would definitely agree with that, just because, I mean, it's kind of part of the fun of it all is that you get to, meet other people and all that stuff. And if, there was a point where guys just weren't interested, we'd all be single forever. Like,
Right.
You kind of have to have some, signals of interest. Again, there's that point where, like, if the girl obviously isn't interested, you need to stop. But there's that point where you have to do something at some point in time.
Well, I think it's very admirable that you can notice that truth, because you being a very beautiful lady and attractive, certainly have no problem with this issue. So, of course, you're going to get a lot of attention, but I think all women would like to have some attention so that they feel,
Makes you feel
wanted.
good,
Yeah, right? It's my impression as a man.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's proper and it doesn't, and we're not talking about physical stuff, we're just talking about compliments or making known that you're interested in dating the lady or just engaging her or whatever. Because we don't want men to be so gun shy that they're afraid to say anything or do anything, and then they're going to be, it's going to be bad for them.
Yeah.
And bad for the ladies, because they'll be home on Saturday night doing nothing.
For sure. And I could see how that could even, circle back to the Me Too movement. A lot of these complaints that are coming out are like, oh, he said something that made me uncomfortable, like he called me beautiful in the workplace. I like stories like that. And I'm like, well, that's a compliment, just because it, if it made you feel uncomfortable, you have to vocalize that it makes you feel uncomfortable. And then if it persists is when it has a problem. But if you don't say anything and he says it once, I don't see how that's an issue. I think that's a compliment. You should take it as a compliment. And if it, for whatever reason, you don't like it, just be like, hey, that's a weird phrasing and stuff. But you have to, and I'm a communication major, so I'm all about that, like open communication, sending messages, receiving messages, and you have to be kind of about that.
Right. So we gotta realize that basic fact that you mentioned, which is men and women are not the same. They have different hormones, they have different needs. The ladies have the babies, the men don't. The ladies have to be careful with the partner that they choose, because there's long-term consequence. The men can be more lackadaisical, and it's not like a life-changing event for them. And so we're different, and we have different needs, and what we want is a society where the ladies can fulfill their needs and get what they need in life and be happy, and the men can do the same, and we can have harmonious relations. But this thing about portraying men as, all being pigs and not, why can't they be like ladies, and that's not good for anybody. It poisons the well of the good relations that are potentially possible between men and women. What do you think?
Well, I would definitely agree with everything you said. There are, when you talk about relationships, there definitely are consequences for men and women on that side. I think there's consequences for both would be the only point I'd like to emphasize. But I mean, yeah, there's definitely those differences, and you don't want to do that poisoning of the well with saying that, all men are bad and all this stuff with generalizations.
Yeah, those generalizations are like ruining our culture. We want to, there are good men, there are bad men, there's good women, bad women. You have to judge people individually and not by their gender. Well, I think we've completed everything I can think of that is worthwhile saying, and I really appreciate this interview. You did a great interview.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you asking me my opinion.
Wow, you have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Don't take offense.
It's a compliment. Thank you.